What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner Cult Flick Symposium. I'm here to talk to you about a movie called Late Night with the Devil. Speak of the devil, there she goes. No, really hoping my dog does not stop barking. Yeah, she's been going crazy. I even used that in the thumbnail. I had to use her in the last video I did prior to this, or maybe it was the video before that, because she literally would not shut up. So hopefully there are no interruptions, people. Let's pray. Not to the devil, but God above, or whoever you like to pray to. Maybe it is the devil. But would this movie deliver? I mean, it seemed to have everything I could want in a possession movie, and this is coming from a possession guy. Did I just say that right? I don't think so. I'm not possessed, people. But a guy that actually isn't a possession guy. I don't really like possession movies. I've talked about this many times on this podcast. There's a bunch that are okay, like they're solid to other people to great. And I'm just like, yeah, it's all right. And there's a bunch that I just flat out can't stand. We all have our genres, actually should say subgenres of horror that we might not get into as much. Or like me, I like some of the dumbest slasher movies ever to be released into existence. And that's me. It's preference, people, right? But there are a few that just sneak through the cracks and just, even before I watch them, give me a vibe that I'm like, damn, this one might hit a little different. I definitely got that with this movie. And once I saw a lot of the reviews coming out, I guess from early screenings and things of that nature, I got even a little more hype because it was like, let's see what, the hype is about. And I got to tell you, this is definitely one of the better possession movies I've ever seen. And its style and format is really what sets it over the edge. It honestly is another one of those grower type movies where I finished watching it and I'm like, okay, not as great as I thought it was going to be, but that definitely is one of the better possession movies or paranormal movies where, someone is possessed, whatever you want to fucking call it. And I definitely saw what other people saw. But again, I walked away from it kind of like, yeah, but still not wholly my thing personally. But I got to tell you, as I said, it is a movie that I think will grow on you because I began to really appreciate, because I gave this a few days to marinate, obviously, because I saw this like opening night and it's been like 3 or 4 days or whatever it's been. And it really started to grow on me, just the whole vibe of the movie and the way it was captured. You got to love a movie, even if it's not based on a true story, that has a true story-esque atmosphere. You got to love a movie, at least for me, where you're kind of stuck in one place. We don't really have a lot to branch off. We ain't got to, some people love, world building and love all these things. I like tight, contained movies, especially when they're done right, where we're just kind of in this one place, one setup for the entirety of the movie. So I ain't got to think about who's over there. I ain't got to think about who's over there often, and more often than not, I should say. When we're looking at like a horror movie, I think this bodes well for it because it's more contained. Maybe it makes it feel a little more claustrophobic. Maybe we're not thinking about all these extracurriculars over here. We can really focus in and hone in on the terror and the waiting of when that terror will begin, which this movie does really well with. I found myself a lot of the time watching this movie just sitting there like, oh, is this where it's going to pop off? Oh, no, not yet. Kind of, maybe a little bit, but that's not, that they didn't hit us over the head yet. They got more in store. There's a lot of that slow burn that really boils over when it finally does hit you, that really has an impact because of that. And if you're not familiar with the plot, basically we're looking at this guy. He's like a Johnny Carson, or should I say, the opposite of a Johnny Carson, right? Or like maybe somebody more new age, like a Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, that type of guy, David Letterman, Conan, these type of dudes. He's not number one in the ratings. That goes to Carson, Johnny Carson, right? But he's, next up. He's like that next guy up, but he still does not compete with Johnny Carson. And then in an effort to save his show, he has this girl come on that wrote a book about, I don't know how much of this I should give away, 'cause I actually didn't even watch the trailer. But basically, she has some ties to a possessed person. And said possessed person comes on the show, and you're kind of sitting there waiting as a viewer, wondering if all hell will break loose. And it does set it up in that way. Like when you're watching it, you pretty much know that some shit's going to go down. I won't go into the depths of how much shit goes down, what exactly goes down, but you can pretty much put 2 and 2 together, but I'll keep that theater of the mind open for you. But essentially, it sets you up with this knowledge. Again, this is just to set up people of the ratings, everything. It's just not quite good enough. He'll never be Carson. And in an effort to save the show, some devil shit pops off because who would not go crazy over these ratings? And you have like the little monologue, like, or just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre narrator, like the visions you're about to see or would depict that day. It has that type of thing, like this is the long lost footage of the Tonight Show with Fuckface, whatever his name is in this movie, and how he saved his show, or the effort to save this show, should say. Well, does he save the show? I'm not telling you. But the point is he's willing to stick his neck out and do anything, like many do, for fame. And when the shit does pop off, again, it's not necessarily plentiful, but it's dark. It's dreary when it does. It is fucking intense, the build-up. So many movies do not build things up. The build-up of getting there. The characters that are involved. Since you're in one isolated kind of place with them, the whole time you're like watching this night unfold little by little, where there's an opening act, here, come here, sit on my couch, let me talk to you. But it's also not boring to where it's like, why the fuck? Like, why would I want to watch this guy talk about? It's like, yeah, man, I just had this new rock CD. How does that connect to the horror, right? It does. All of it connects to the horror because every guest that they have on for this night kind of piggybacks off of each other, culminating into this girl that wrote this book and the possession that plays out. And it is very, very, very well done. Once the shit hits the fan, you definitely will be captivated. And unless you're one of these people, with TTB, what I call TikTok brain, where you cannot sit there and, be like, oh my God, this is boring. Is anything going to happen? You can sit there and kind of build with each layer till we get to the good shit. And you can really kind of relish in that and enjoy it because you're sitting there like, okay, like I said in the beginning of the review, like, when's this going to pop off? When's this going to happen? And then when it finally does, you're like, oh shit, it was worth it. You got to trust in these movies to let them build to something, because that's what makes the payoff that much greater. If we just jumped into things, that's what everybody wants these days, where it's just like, oh, and here it is. There's the best. It doesn't hit as hard, okay? And that's what this movie does. It's really kind of a masterclass in that regard. The ending, I will say, I'm indifferent about. I didn't quite love the ending, but again, it's another one of those. I didn't hate it. I could see a lot of people being like, "Oh, that was it." I definitely kind of enjoy what they did, but also I'm like the execution of it. It's one of those kind of, oh man, I'm not even gonna say. It's just one of those endings that I think will definitely, again, like you could probably expect with a movie like this. It's probably gonna be a little divisive, but overall, if you like these types of movies, man, performances, everything, the realism. Let's talk about the 70s aesthetic. You could really, like, down to the outfits, everything, really pick up. At times, you forget you're not watching, an authentic real life tape that was found with some demonic possession on it, and you're watching it actually play out as if it's real. It can kind of suck you in to that degree with the realism of it all and the performances and authenticity, which I always love that word on this channel, right? So definitely check it out. If that sounds like your thing, I mean, if you're into these type of movies, 100% check it out. Probably one of the better ones. I ended up loving it. I'm probably going to give it an 8.3 out of 10, but again, this is another one that's subject to go up because it's probably even better than I Am Letting On. It's definitely got that type of impact. It definitely has that type of power. It's definitely a slow burn in spots, but the payoff, I think, is more than enough, and the movie is quite chilling in spots. There's a few moments where, it's not the pop out scene, but like get under your skin type of moments when you're really building to that climax. And the climax, as I said, maybe the overall like very ending was like, okay, yeah, I mean, kind of not bad. But when the shit pops off in terms of like violence or the paranormal type stuff, definitely delivers. Check out Late Night with the Devil. It's definitely unique. It's definitely a cool spin on these types of movies. Keeps it fresh. Keeps this type of shit alive and well. Even though, who are we kidding? They keep pumping out the same dumbass type of movie like this. And that's not the hate on the genre. They pump out the same dumbass slasher movies too. But it's always nice when you see a unique take within the subgenre of any of these subgenres. So hats off to you. Late Night with the Devil was actually pretty damn solid. Love you guys. Peace.